Hey, what's up? This is Morning Coffee. And I had played this song that's playing in the background called Something New by the Clark Sisters before, and it wasn't one of my favorite songs on their CD. But I remember the day that I walked in my home on October the 3rd, and I hadn't had my moment, that breakdown, that gratitude that came from within. I was still in shock. I was still in awe over having a kidney in my body and not going to dialysis anymore. And I remember as I crossed the threshold and I got into the bathroom, I just broke down and had one of those moments, with a loving and caring God. And then later on the week, I was just playing music, and this song, was in the queue, and it came on, and then it became evident, that something new is being birthed in me. And it's funny because I think about when I was in church, when I was a little boy, and they would say my hands look new, my eyes, I could see. I was blind, but I could see. I was lame and I could walk. I was dumb and I could talk. And that's what I need to share with you, So it was no coincidence that the surgeon asked me if my mind was clear, if it had more clarity. But as I was listening to this song, it permeated my body, my soul, my spirit. And I began to receive what is newly birthed in me. And now the difficult part came when temptation came. And as I believe in praying and meditating, I was meditating and praying, and one of the meditative thoughts came through and told me to remember and focus on my function. And a lot of times we don't even understand what our function is because we're so busy wandering off course. And this has been my experience. I mean, listen, 2003, I was on a machine that was literally breathing for me. God graced me with 13 more years, and I went right back into the hell that He had brought me out of after rescuing me from that depravity, from death. So, I'm just telling you that the ego mind, the disease mind, the self-inflicted nonsense, it's all in cahoots. The toxic, it's all in cahoots to keep me distracted and for wandering off course. And so I'm sitting here and I have a temptation, and my temptation is always the same temptation. I think that once I'm starting to feel good, I need to feel good. And whatever your thing might be, you understand what I'm talking about. Relate. But as I was reading my daily meditation yesterday, and I was reading, and I'm going to share some of it with you because it blessed my soul. It said, "Let me not forget my function." And I went on to read, and it says, "Today's idea is merely another way of saying, let me not wander into temptation. The purpose of the world you see is to obscure your function of forgiveness." So the world that you see, that means the world that you live in. Not your mama, not your daddy, not your children, not your co-workers, but the world that your mind is in. It could be clouded with stuff that you think is important and it's trivial, and you could lose focus. And when you lose focus after you have been rebirthed, you're wandering off the course that has been birthed in you. So I just stood back and I stopped and I said, I'm going to walk in my function. I receive it right now. And my function is to love God, serve people, and to really live a life that is filled with love, and to walk away from lovelessness. So I do that when I receive my new birth. So it gets to a point now where I have to be very, very careful with who I let in my space. And so think about it. Who are you going to let in your space? I can't just let everybody up in my space no more. It's just not reality. Even on Facebook, if someone sends me something in my inbox and say, "What's up, sexy?" You know, I like that kind of stuff. I have to shut it down because something, God has birthed something new in me. And if it's new, it means I've never walked that road before. And for me, it becomes a road less traveled because it's brand new. I have never had a kidney transplant before. It's new. So I have to receive this new gift and this baby. And it's sort of like my inner child has been given an opportunity to grow up and now be nurtured by me. After being broken, after being abandoned and rejected, after being abused over and over again, God has birthed something new in me to now I can embrace that brokenness and I can begin to, help my inner child heal, because that inner child is deep and needs to heal so that the fresh anointing. Now, I'm not talking about organized religion anointing, just throwing the word around, very cavalier. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about an anointing that comes that will honestly break the yoke. And it happens through experience, strength, and hope. That's how it happens. You go through hell to get to heaven. That's how it happens. And then what happens is you don't just go through it and you don't reach back and grab people. You remember what you went through so that you could share that gift with other people and give them the same hope. So I'm really grateful to be walking in this newness of life and to be experiencing all that I am experiencing at this moment. You see me making all these songs and things on Facebook. You see all that kind of stuff because my spirit is alive. Physically, death could not hold me. God wasn't ready for me. So it is clear to me now that God is birthing something new in me, that whatever my assignment is, I need to know its function and I need to focus on that function of my assignment. And even if it looks hard or I get embarrassed to talk about it or I feel ashamed, I know now that that is all a mechanism of the ego mind and of my lovelessness to allow me to live in a state of fear rather than love. So even when I put up that GoFund thing, I want to tell you, that was not easy for me to do. That was not easy for me to do because my pride and ego was like, I can't do that. Bump that. Once you get in contact with that you're worthy and that there is love involved on a level that has absolutely nothing to do with you, all that becomes minuscule. And you walk in the birth that has been given you. So this is a new chapter in my life. I have started writing a book. I have simultaneously started writing a play. I have been on fire. I'm excited about where the journey is taking me. And even in the moment when I get tempted to wander off course, and it will occur, I just simply sit back and I start thinking now, like, what will happen if I follow through with this act that I want to do to make myself feel good for the moment? Well, a lot could happen. So sometimes you got to play the tape all the way through to the end. And don't ever forget to remember what it felt like to not have the hole inside filled with peace, but to continue to have it filled with the same vicious cycle of pain and destruction and depression and desperation. Don't forget those kinds of things that you took your mind, body, and spirit through. So the new birth calls on me to remember those things so that I don't have to repeat them. Now, that does not mean that I won't wander off course. However, if I stay focused on my function, I can follow with what my meditation said today. Now, this was deep. Check this out. And then I'm done. This is what my meditation said today. Yesterday was about staying focused on my function. And today's was, if a thought comes, like today, I had a thought. I was like, I could just use your imagination. I could really get with that thing. This thought reflects a goal that is preventing me from accepting my only function. And my only function is to love God and serve people, and to serve people and love God. Therefore, the atonement of that, like the undoing of all the self-inflicted nonsense, brings me into atonement, and atonement brings me right into the spirit of salvation, which is what we as miracle-minded people do. We're about salvation. Now, I'm not talking about organized religion salvation. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about here and now stuff. People need to be saved now. I needed to be saved now. Therefore, God placed me in a loving and caring program that introduced me to a loving and caring God that saved my life. And now that I am on the path and something new is being birthed in me, it is my duty and obligation, it is my charge, to share this news and to be as much of a light and beam as I possibly can. Not through the words that I speak, but through the life that I am living, through a loving and caring God. This is Morning Coffee. Have a blessed day.